What's up guys, it's Joe here with J Blake Photo. In today's video, I want to compare the leaked specs that we now have for the Sony A7 IV, the long-awaited Sony A7 IV, and the recently released Canon EOS R6, which I'm actually shooting on right now. They're in the same price range, so I think this should be a good head-to-head comparison. So the A7 III was released in 2018, and we've been expecting a replacement now for some time. The A7 series has been a wonderful full-frame camera with hybrid features that allow photographers access with a lower price point than the higher resolution R or the video-focused S-line Alpha 7 cameras. While the Canon R6 is really the guts of a 1DX in the body of an R5, it has some software constraints that make it a little less pro. But at its price point, I think it's a great value, and I thought it'd be nice to compare it against the proposed specs of the updated Sony. So looking at the A7 III, which had a 24 megapixel sensor and really has since 2013, with this fourth iteration, we are expecting a new sensor with 30 megapixels. So they're finally going to be departing from the 24 megapixel resolution. So from a pure resolution standpoint, this Sony is already out ahead. This is a brand new sensor that will have improved low light performance, though likely only enough to take back what it loses from the increase in resolution. As you make those pixels smaller to pack them into the full frame sensor, you end up with lower quality light absorption. That's why cameras with super low resolution like the A7S and the Canon R6 or the 1DX Mark III at their 12 and 20 megapixel sizes end up doing really well in low light. However, from what we've seen that Sony can do with a sensor in terms of read speeds, and I'm talking about the A9 II and now the new Alpha 1 with that stacked sensor, they can create some sensors with blazing fast read speeds. The Canon sensor that's borrowed from the 1DX Mark III in the R6 is no slouch in the quality or low light department, but it's not known for exceptional read speeds, and it does suffer from some wobble distortion, and it's not the king of dynamic range, though it is a fair bit better than the EOS R that preceded it. So this round would definitely go to the Sony, considering an all-around hybrid market for these cameras. Both of these cameras are also going to be offering 5-axis, 5 to 5.5 plus stop in-body image stabilization. So between these two cameras, that's definitely a wash. Both of these cameras will also have their best-in-class autofocus system, with Sony and the real-time auto eye tracking AF and the Canon dual pixel 2 system. Both great, again, a wash. Both of these systems have amazing autofocus. You really cannot go wrong. I wasn't unhappy with the EOS R autofocus, but the R6 has been a huge leap forward for me. On the EVF, and I've said this before, mirrorless cameras live and die by their EVFs. The A7 IV is purported to have a 3.68 million dot OLED EVF, compared to the 3.69 dot EVF in the Canon, so they are effectively the same. Maybe we'll see the 240 Hz refresh on the Sony, but hopefully at least 120 Hz like we have on the Canon, which has been really nice for me on the R6. More in the category of things that are the same, a 3-inch 1.6 to 1.7 dot LCD on the back, pretty much the same between the two, though I will give Canon a little bit of credit here for the fact that it does have the fully articulating screen. And really for a camera in this market, for the folks who are going to be purchasing it, the content creators, they really want this feature. So I'm gonna give the win there to Canon. I wanna pause real quick and just give you a reminder that if you're into videos like this, please hit the like button. It's a huge help to me and to the channel, as it tells the YouTube machine that I'm making the right sort of content for you. Of course, if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I make videos about news, reviews, learning, photo adventures, so please subscribe. And don't forget to hit the bell so that you get notifications when I make new videos. I post many of the stills from my videos and my photo adventures over on Instagram, and I'm at JBlakePhoto. Now let's get back to comparing these two cameras. These cameras are both, of course, going to come with dual card slots. I think that's now pretty much expected at this price range. Which is great because there are times when, cameras in these price ranges didn't have dual card slots like the EOS R. Now, the Canon has UHS-2 SD cards in both slots on the R6 versus the R5 that has one UHS-2 SD and one CF Express card slot. But Sony is going to have that dual purpose slot that we saw in the Alpha 1, taking both SD and CF Express Type A cards. That is a huge win for Sony, especially if you haven't invested in the CF Express market yet. So if you plan to be in the future, you can start by using your existing SD cards and then move on to your CF Express cards as you invest in that system. Now, the CF Express Type A cards are a little bit slower than the Type B cards, but honestly, I think that the flexibility here is going to be really well received. On the video side of things, the A7 IV will be bringing the video spec up where the Canon cameras are now, with 4K 60 adding to the existing 4K 30 and bringing the 1080p spec up to 120 frames per second from 60. Now, I'll say that while Canon delivers these options, the Canons rarely offer the types of codec options that Sony does. On the R6, you really only have the option of 4K 60 IPB, 4K 30 IPB, and 4K 24 IPB. You can't even get all eye in the 1080p features. And the 1080p 120 still doesn't have sound and comes with a heavily compressed codec. Now, when you want all the color depth and all the subsampling that you can possibly get, the 10-bit 422 IPB out of the R6 is phenomenal from that 5.1K downsampled to 4K. However, we know that the Sony is going to offer a multitude of options in 10-bit 420 that probably will be a little bit easier to edit on your MacBook or your regular Windows PC. Whereas the R6 footage sometimes can send my laptop's fan into the stratosphere. I hope to see more from Canon on this in the future, maybe a firmware update, but overall, I give this win to Sony. Since this camera's video features will be marketed towards people like myself doing a lot of online content, where file sizes and file flexibility are very important. Now, the Canon is on sale today and has been for a few months now. The Sony is likely going to be coming in the second half of 2021, so we still have at least 5 to 7 months before we would see this camera. Both are going to have a price point at $2,500, the R6 selling now, and we expect the A7 IV to have that $2,499 price tag. Though there is the possibility by the time this Sony camera is released, the Canon will have rebates or sales available for the R6. What we don't know is if the A7 IV will bring the blazing fast speeds that we see with the Alpha 1, like that 30 frames per second in distortion-free silent shooting. We just don't know yet. If it does, that will be very compelling and would definitely edge out the Canon at only 12 frames per second mechanical and 20 frames per second electronic. And the electronic really does have quite a bit of distortion with fast-moving subjects. If the Sony doesn't have these blazing fast speeds, then the only thing that this will have on the competition, on the Canon, will be the card slot flexibility and some of that video flexibility. And unless there's something else up Sony's sleeve here, I'd say that neither of these would be a better camera. Tell me down in the comments if you think that there's maybe something else that we're missing from this comparison. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram over at jblakePhoto, as well as hit the like button if these are the types of videos that you're interested in seeing. If you're not subscribed to the channel, there's a button for that. Make sure you hit the bell to be notified when I make new stuff, and I will see you in the next one.